Hi, this is Anna Olsen with Insights into Consciousness here on A1R Radio. And today I'm really excited because I have a guest today that I'm just so excited to talk to her today. This is Alia Harara, and she is an intuitive and does some medium work, healing work, energy work. And I've had the opportunity to talk to her on and off, and I am just so excited because she and I relate so well, and I think we represent population of the psychic and medium population that, we don't always, it's kind of hard for us to tell people who we are sometimes because we are from a Christian background, right, Alia?
Well, my background, I am Christian now, but I chose that later on in life. My background is actually very controversial. What's the word I'm looking for? Controversial.
Okay. So yeah, and I know that we're both Christian, at least for now. I have a background in Christianity, but yet we do this work. And so sometimes we can kind of get the raised eyebrows because people aren't really sure how to take that. So it can be a little bit more difficult for us to come out of the closet, so to speak. So that's why I'm really, really proud of you. And I'm really happy to have you on the show today because we like to really delve into dispelling the myths about this work and just really understanding and helping others understand why we do what we do and how this looks from just any religious background. So you were also talking about how you just love different. You respect all different religions, but your path is Christianity. It's Christ-based, correct?
Yes. Everything I do is I connect through the Christ consciousness, and Jesus is, a teacher of mine that I've known since I was a little girl personally, before I ever really walked into a church or opened a Bible. So angels and Jesus, ever since I was little, have guided me in things, and I've channeled messages and just always been guided in that way. And it's funny because, the background I have in my family is my grandma was, you could say, a wannabe LDS person. That was what she wanted and believed. And then my father was Muslim and is Muslim. He's from Kuwait. And so I'm half Palestinian. And then my mother is, you could say, the free spirit. And she takes more to Buddhism and that type of energy and stuff. So I have a lot of conflicting beliefs in my family, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the label you need to put on it to feel secure or connected. It's all the same. It's all the same energy. It all comes from the same place. And so for me, when I go in working with someone, whether I'm channeling for them, if they're LDS, I still respect their beliefs. I just word things a little bit differently that help them understand, because if I try and talk to them in a different kind of way, they're like, what the heck are you saying? So for me, it's never about telling someone that their way is the wrong way. It's just guiding them into their heart space so they can really connect to, their guides and their angels and realize that they have so much power and they are not alone. And they're these, angels and Jesus and Buddha and, Muhammad and all of that is they came down here and they're still here wanting to teach us and guide us all to the same place. It doesn't really matter where we start. It's where we're going. And eventually where we're going is to the same place, So
it's basically the same concepts, principles, spiritual energy with a different label much of the time. But I also kind of notice and understand that different people have their own frequency and vibe anyway. I can have anybody in front of me and they're going to feel a little different than the next because everybody has their own spiritual DNA. And I also notice that even when I have somebody in front of me who, let's say, is a Buddhist or somebody who's more aligned with Zen, they have a different feeling energetically than someone who may be Christian. And so what I really love about that approach is that really the more that we experience, accept, and do work with people from all different walks of life, no matter what that looks like, the more we learn as healers, the more we can help others, and then be geared towards helping anybody who comes in the door wants healing. So that's one thing that I really, have been able to appreciate about your background and where you came from, is just this wonderful, colorful background of just, it's not just, this one label with, it looks this one way. And I really appreciate that myself, because I can relate in some ways, because I, had a Catholic family with my grandmother's side, and then Baptist on the other side. And then I also practiced the Zen or Buddhist principles in a lot of my mindfulness, consciousness learnings, and then also meditation and all of that. And then, I grew up LDS, and also went to, Christian churches. And it's just, I feel like I'm taking a little bit of everything. And it's wonderful to be able to relate to so many different types of people when they walk in the door. They don't have to look a certain way. They don't have to believe anything specific. They're just there to be healed, to be accepted, and for their own personal work to be done. So that's really something that I can align with and that I appreciate. And so can you tell us a little bit more about what it is that you do for healing? Because I know you did a reading on me, and I really enjoyed it. I loved it. It was very accurate. You really touched on things. This is the thing, after you did the reading for me, I then had 3 other people say just about the same thing you did. Since then, just having a conversation. One of my friends, a family member, and then, somebody from church. It was just interesting how everything aligned right after that. And it touched base so clearly for me. And you were talking about some angel work that, and you're talking about like the heart chakra work that I've been working on that just aligned perfectly. So, first of all, I think you're very, very accurate, and that you did very, very well. And secondly, I'm hoping that you can kind of just talk about a little bit about what it looks like for you when you do a reading, and how that comes about, and how it is that you help heal and guide other people to do their life work.
Yeah. So it's definitely, it's been a journey learning myself in this, because growing up, I didn't have anyone to tell me what I was doing or what was happening to me, or, that this is normal, or where all this stuff was coming from. I had, as a little girl, things come through, and I always wrote very young about love and about the purpose to life, and the way that, angels and Jesus really wanted to be known, because so many times people use religion, or what am I trying to say? Because I want to make sure it comes out right. But we all have different beliefs, right? Like we were saying, and we all come from different backgrounds. And our childhood really sculpted us in what we need to believe, or what we think we need to believe, or whatever. So wherever somebody is, for them, that is their truth. It may not be their truth, but it is your truth. It is your experience. And so for me, I always grew up with them talking to my ear and guiding me and being there and just helping me. And I didn't want it. When I would try and share with people, how to go back into their heart, because the heart is the most powerful thing you hold. And that is where truth comes through, is your heart, right? Because we are love, and love heals all. And, when I would try and give messages about love and guiding people back into their heart so they could hear their truth, because at the end of the day, I could tell them things about what they may or may shouldn't do. I could tell them what I may or may not see. But at the end of the day, they have the free will to choose their destiny. They are a creator of their life. At any moment, they get to choose a different path. So maybe they're on this path, and then they decide a month or 2 months from now, after some experience, they decide this isn't for them anymore. So for me, it's about not telling people like, oh, this is what you can do, this is what you should do. It wasn't about that for me, or what the angels wanted me to do. It was about getting them to realize that they have the same connection, that they can open up so they can hear their truth, so they can choose what they want, so they can create what they want, not what I want, not what somebody else thinks they need to create, or their parents. You know what I mean? It's them. This is their life, their experience. And there is so much love and divine support wanting to assist each and every single person. No person is exempt from that, And so for me, when I would try and go out and share this and tell people, and they'd be like, how do you know that? You can't really say like, oh, an angel told me. Or, and especially when you're young, it's not like you really understand that this is weird. This is who you are. And then as you go out there in the world and people say it's wrong, or it conflicts with their beliefs, or, your own family says, you're wrong, you're too emotional, be quiet. And you start to just get to the space where you start to want to forget everything and shut off the gifts and shut off the connection. Mm-hmm. And so I did that for a very long time in my life. I fell into addiction. I fell into things to get me to just basically run away from it and tell my angels, go away. You chose the wrong girl, pick somebody else. And I think that you feel that way. I think every person that has this mission to come down here and teach and open people up and help people heal feels so alone, because it is hard. It wasn't easy, just like it wasn't easy for Jesus, who is, someone I really resonate with and have always resonated with. But for some person, it could be Buddha or whatever teacher of love you resonate with. They all taught and spoke the same thing. Yes. And
so did you ever have an incident where you were correct on something and you had a response that scared you into ever telling anybody again about your experiences as a medium or as an intuitive when you were correct? Because I know that's happened to me. I've had friends in high school that looked at me funny afterwards when I told them they were going to get in a car accident, or, when I give them a message from a loved one and you get this look and because they don't understand it. Mm-hmm. There's a response, even from family members. Sometimes they just kind of freeze and look at you, and there's this interesting response. So I'm kind of wondering if you've ever had that, and
absolutely, and that's exactly why I tried to run from this and shut off who I was, because I did get those responses, and it wasn't until later on in my life when I was going to become a mother where I was like, and had that moment where I was like, okay, this isn't about me anymore. I have to clean up my life. I have to do what I need to do, because now my children are going to be raised here. So that tied into my mission. Like, if I have the power to help others and make this world a better place, it's not about me anymore. It's about this world that our kids and future generations are going to come into. And we have the power to pave the way for these future generations to come in and live in a different way than we've ever experienced. So, that was where I finally shifted, and I started stepping into this part of myself, and I started kind of playing with it. And I started to when they started coming back around, and I started taking care of my body, and I was clean and sober so I could connect to them, because a big reason why so many people are shut off from connection to source or God or whatever label you want to put on it. And they're so shut off from guidance, from the divine, from angels, from their past loved ones, is because they use things to shut that off, so your body and your body's health is so important, mind, body, spirit. It's all connected. And, my mission is to not tell you what to do. My mission is to open you back up so you can start to discover that for yourself. So when you're going on and when you're out and about and the session with me has ended, you're in this place where you're starting to be aware of yourself and you're starting to know and listen to your body and your spirit and your heart when you come up against something, whether that's like, I probably shouldn't get in the car right now, or I probably shouldn't be eating this, or, they start to hear that consciousness, that divine guidance that is instilled in everybody. It's instilled in our heart. And I want to just be aware of that they have that and they can learn that. And they don't need to take my word for it. They have it within them. And if I can just guide them into that.
When we even have scientific studies on frequency and how that affects the human body, shame is one of the lowest underneath the anger and the other really negative feelings that people have. So when religions try to wedge in that shame there, that's definitely not Christ's gospel. That's something that's of a lower frequency. So, what you were talking about was more of a gratitude-based practice, and that's something that you really liked to touch on was gratitude and how that affects us. So if we're from a religious background or even a non-religious background, both of which can create a lot of shame, one of the ways to counteract that shame and to really get back in touch with the divine and what's best for us is to have gratitude for what we have and to have gratitude that we are the way we are, that we're made for a specific reason. And I know you can relate to this, that at first when we're kind of finding ourselves in the first part of our life and we're developing our identity, being an intuitive can be pretty difficult. It can be a little overwhelming. And sometimes we don't even know we're different from anybody else and that we can offer everybody something that they may not have in their life. So
exactly.
About the gratitude and how that counteracts shame and that counteracts, feeling embarrassed or feeling like you're too different when being different is good and it's very beneficial for others. So the gratitude is something I kind of wanted to touch on too.
Yeah, absolutely. Gratitude really can impact your entire life in every area. And that is one reason why I wanted to touch base on it, because it's a practice I currently use when I get through really difficult times in my life, because even though I have this knowledge and I'm here to share it with anyone I can, I still have an ego and I'm still a human and I still am healing generational bloodlines of beliefs and abuse and addiction. And that passes through us, until somebody says, I'm going to break this. It will continue to cycle through. The cool thing is it can be broken and we can heal it and we can shift it for future generations to come. And gratitude is always the easiest and most fastest way we can do that. So out of all the practices, you don't have to know too much. You don't have to really, hit all these little levels to get to where you really want to be. The only reason why it takes us all these milestones and it takes us so long to actually get to where we want to be, whether that's in a relationship or our health or a career, is because we have to break the beliefs, right? That have been pushed on us forever since we were kids. And, your parents and your grandparents had beliefs passed down to them. And, and then religion and, all these fear tactics, right? To just make you feel shame and guilt and you're not enough. And that basically you're just dropped down here. So God can sit up there and laugh at you while you go through all these tests, which is completely untrue, right? We have power. So gratitude, what it does is it can help shift everything for you in every type of way. And why it does that is because gratitude is a very high energy. So it doesn't matter maybe what you're going through in your life. You always can find something to be grateful for. And just focusing that attention on even just something as I have a roof over my head today. I can put food in my belly today. Or thank you Thank you, God, universe, whatever you need to say. Thank you for everything. Anytime you receive anything, whether it's a compliment, you find $1 on the floor or anything, you can always find something to say thank you. And the more you do that, the more it shifts you, and it starts shifting your perspective, and it starts all of a sudden, all the things that you thought were so heavy and so bad and everything going wrong in your life kind of starts to disappear because you're not focused on it anymore, which goes into law of attraction and realizing that we live in a world that is about creation. We live in a magnetic world, so our thoughts become things. And gratitude is basically
gratitude is going to counteract any of the shame-based stuff. It puts us back into our role. It attracts more abundance, which is amazing. And it's basically the law of attraction in effect on a small scale, where you can start at being grateful for every little thing in your daily life, and then it just grows from there. You get better and better at it, like anything else. If you want to learn to skateboard, you have to start small and then, keep building. So I love that approach. I love, everything that you've spoken about today. I'm so glad you were on the show. We're just about out of time, but I wanted to thank you again. Is there a website or something that you want to put out there, or like any information that you'd like to put out there so people can get a hold of you?
If you want to get a hold of me, I do have Facebook. So, you can find me on there and send me a message, Alia Herrera. Or I have an email if you want to personally email me, with questions or a reading or anything like that. It's wanderinghearts33@gmail.com.